Just to see everything's working. Okay. How do I edit? Really? View dashboard. Episode 6. Okay. Can hear myself. Okay. Damn. Okay. Cool. Great. All right. How's it going, guys? It's your boy Edgar here, coming to you with episode 6 of the Flickitall podcast. Now, let me make sure everything's muted. Great. So, for today's episode, we're going to be talking about Unplanned, but first, let's talk about my week. I'm going to have one headphone out so I can hear how loud I'm being. So, what have I been up to this week? As you can see by the mess behind me, I'm still organizing some stuff there. I mentioned a while ago about how I had 3 shelves, one for movies, one for games, one for books. Well, my bookshelf just nearly collapsed, so I had to take everything out of it, destroy, and get a new one, put some books in it, and so I could have everything in there, taking care of that. School's been pretty busy, especially now that we're ramping up towards finals, and I have 10 weeks worth of assignments to catch up on in one class because this bitch fucking assigns like weekly assignments, but basically 2 different ones, and they're all massive, so I've only been doing one of those 2 each week. So I might be busy. This is the only time I have to stream, really. I don't have any other free time I can think of. I'm gonna put the mic here closer so you don't hear the fan of the laptop. What have I watched recently? I watched a bunch of newer Disney Channel original movies because I've been really curious to see how things have held up in that realm, because in my generation and the one before, we have these Disney Channel movies that we're super fond of. Even Steven's movie, Brink, Xenon Z3, High School Musical, shit like that. Each generation has their own set of movies, so I wanted to see what the kids these days would grow up with, and unfortunately, I watched Zombies and Freaky Friday, the 2018 remake, and Zombies is actually the worst thing I've ever seen. It's a really poor allegory for racism that doesn't approach the subject matter well or at all. And Freaky Friday, they turn into a musical where the songs are super awkwardly placed and none of them are good. But there's a good movie in there somewhere. But it's a 4 out of 10. I don't like that movie. Zombies, I'd give a 0 stars out of 10. It is actually that bad. And in terms of video games, I'm playing a lot of Warzone. I did something I'm not proud of, and for the first time in history, I caved in and bought the Battle Pass. And let me justify this. What I learned is that this season, if you buy the Battle Pass, you actually get 1,500 COD points throughout the season. And, you only need like 1,000 COD points to get a season, a battle pass. So with my $10, I bought this battle pass, but through that battle pass, I've earned enough COD points to buy next season's battle pass as well. So it's like 2 for the price of 1. So when you look at it like that, not that bad. And I mainly bought it because I really wanted the Alex skin. And I didn't realize that throughout the season, the only one you get is the one with him all covered up, hooded, glasses and shit. And you have to get to level 100 to get Alex's like actual face skin. So we're working on that. I'm like level 94 in the season, I think. And I got 19 days as of this stream. It's all good. I tried Vanquish for the PC, or not Vanquish, Time Shift. Yeah, Time Shift. It's this really old game from like super early 7th gen. It was probably close, maybe 2006, 2007. I have it on the 360. I never really played. I only got like maybe not even the full first level in before I got bored. Because a lot of the shooters at that time felt very similar. Fear, Time Shift, Darkness, they just all looked the same. They always had like super skinny arms and the FOV was like too far back at times. And so yeah, it was like $1 on PC, so I got it out of curiosity, and it looks really good in 4K. Like you can play it in 4K. I'm not able to. My rig isn't powerful enough, but I just looked at it, how it looked in 4K with like all the settings turned down to their lowest. I was able to get it running at like 30. But to me, it doesn't feel right playing at 30, so I'd rather have the 1080p 60 frames. That's still a pretty good looking game with everything maxed out in 1080p. So I might, maybe one day I'll actually look further into that game and try it out more. I only try like this time also, not even finishing the first. I don't even think I got hands on a gun. That's how much I didn't play of it. And yeah, you know what? I don't even need to wear these headphones. I can't hear anything anyways. So that's basically what I've been up to this. Oh shit, now that exposes my hair. Oh well. And of course, as I've said earlier, I've been getting a bunch of Final Fantasy stuff in the mail, so I do not know when the video will ever be made at this point, unfortunately. I bit off more than I could chew. I was near collecting all the PlayStation PlayStation Family games for basically everyone, like the spin-offs, the mainline entries, like Final Fantasy Tactics, Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon. I even went to the technicals like Air Geese, God Bless the Ring, things like that. So if I'm doing everything right, I'm pretty sure I'm nearly got every single game possible on a PlayStation console in North America. Even Japan, I got Final Fantasy Type 0 for PSP. So I'm really trying to get that. But then I expanded my horizons and got some DS stuff, and now my brain's like, I gotta get all the DS stuff, but I don't even have a DS, so I've been trying to get a DS or 3DS, and it's been a nightmare. I didn't realize how fucking expensive DSs still are, so I gotta figure that out. Maybe one day I could probably find something decent. And the problem is, like, I could get a 3DS, like a launch version, but I don't know if need is the right word, but for Final Fantasy Explorers, the most recent 3DS Final Fantasy game, apparently it plays better with that C-stick that only comes in the new models. And I haven't been into Nintendo since the Wii and Game Boy days, and the 3DS is so complex in how many models they release. There's the 3DS, there's the 2DS, there's the new 3DS, there's the 3DS XL, there's the new 3DS XL, there's the new 2DS XL. It makes it a fucking nightmare trying to figure out what to find online, and if it's the right thing. Because if I'm gonna be spending $100 to $150 on a console, I may as well get the best version of it either way, so that I don't run into problems in the future where I can't buy or even use a game because I don't have the fucking C-stick for it. The things I do for Final Fantasy. But yeah, so if anyone out there is watching wants to get rid of one, I'll pay for the shipping. Please. And yeah, that's pretty much all I've been up to this week. Nothing too wild, really. I think it might have been this week where I also tried watching the show on Amazon Prime, Too Old to Die Young. It's something. I don't know how to describe it. It really pushes the limits of what TV can be the way Twin Peaks did. I hear this is the most similar comparison that I hear that it's closest to Twin Peaks in terms of how it just uses time and how it's so slow, stretches everything out, and the sentences are, they say a sentence slowly, then they take a long pause and then say the next sentence. It's a really hard watch. I don't recommend it, but I also kind of enjoyed it. So if you're really looking for the final boss battle of what TV can be, then I'd say give it a shot. And that concludes my week. Yeah, so let's get into the news. So the big news of today is that the Unreal Engine 5 got announced. And the reason I want to talk about this video game thing in a film podcast is that Unreal has been pretty involved in film production by combining real-time elements into the sets. Like, for example, if you've seen how they shot The Mandalorian, how they just shoot in like this wide light room with panels surrounding everywhere, and through the Unreal Engine they can manipulate in real time the environments and be able to see in camera how it looks like and line up the camera according to it. It's fantastic stuff. And so since then I've been following everything Unreal related really closely. And so with this announcement, what caught my attention the most is that they were talking about Nanite. Nanite is like virtualized micro polygon geometry, and this allows the artist to create as much geometric detail as possible instead of having to compress it. Because what this new engine allows is to take the film assets, like the film quality assets, and place them directly in the game. Because before, what you do is you'd get these film assets and have to compress them for a game, but now no longer. It just, you can get the full 8K quality assets straight there. And so being able to play with this technology in real time, that just makes me wonder, what can you do with film? Like, how is this going to push it even further? It's insane. This demo looks insane. And so, and the fact that, what do they say? I know this doesn't apply to film, but the changes they're making, like how, Jesus, my hands. That like they're designing things to be, I'm sorry, I was reading an email notification. They're designing it to be so that like they're designing forward compatibility. So if you start development for next gen with Unreal Engine 4, you'll be able to move it to 5 when they're ready. And even this applies to Fortnite, because that's currently playing on the Unreal Engine 4, and they say that's going to launch on next gen consoles when the consoles launch. So it's going to be a launch title, and they're going to be migrating the game to Unreal Engine 5 in around mid 2021. So even in house, they're going to take their time to make these shifts. And then once like mid 2021 comes around, then we'll see Unreal Engine 5 become the mainstream thing, and hopefully we'll start seeing results throughout the years after that in film, see how much further technology can be pushed. Also, just another tidbit that has nothing to do with movie related but Unreal Engine is that the royalties are waived on the first $1 million in game revenue. So Basically, what they used to do before is like the royalties you owed were like 5% of your profits or something like that. But now they make it more accessible so that if you make a game and it's not that big of a hit, makes less than 1 million, you'll essentially have been able to use the engine for free. I think that's really great and indie company friendly. And that's all I wanted to touch on Unreal Engine 5. I hope more comes out of in games and film. Next topic is Disney Plus is getting Hamilton this summer. If you didn't know, they basically did a recording of a production of Hamilton, and they were gonna launch it in theaters next year, I believe, but they pushed it to this summer, and that just shows kind of how desperate Disney is to get content. And it's crazy. Like, what the fuck do you hold on to these shows for so long for? I guess to edit it, but I didn't think it took. They probably filmed this since last year. I didn't think it took 2 years to edit a live production of something. I mean, you ever get a confirmation DVD from your church? They chop that shit up real soon. It doesn't take them 2 years to chop a live thing. And yeah, so July 3rd is when they're doing it. Oh wait, right on, that's right before the 4th of July. Pardon me. My voice is going dry from talking so much already. One momento. Fuck. Yeah. So, I don't even know how it was going to do in theaters. What was the appeal in putting in theaters? I guess I see the appeal because it's a more affordable way to watch this Broadway musical that everyone's been talking about for almost fucking half a decade now. So I guess that's nice. I get it, but I don't think it's the end of the world. It's not coming on theaters. I don't think people would have been clamoring to pay $20 to see it now. Just watching the comfort of your coronavirus-free home this summer. And yeah, I thought that was just an interesting tidbit to show that Disney's kind of reaching for content. Things aren't looking good for everyone. But to turn it around and show some positive is that SAG-AFTRA agencies are persuading some studios to pay actors idled under contract during the pandemic. So basically, for example, Netflix has decided compensates actors their full guarantees on some of the shows. Other companies are weighing their path forward. And so SAG-AFTRA and these agencies are pushing people to pay these actors during this time where they're not working. So some television studios are holding actors under contract on unpaid hiatus during the pandemic rather than paying them as per force majeure provisions. And that's because 2009 revisions to the SAG-TV agreement made the entire force majeure concept arguably optional. So now it's coming back to bite them in the ass, and they're trying to get their people paid, you know. But they're trying to figure out how to get people paid. That's good. I mean, yeah, sometimes actors make too much money. A lot of the time actors make too little money. So this is good. I am about everyone making money during this inevitable recession we're nosediving into. I don't want to get into the details of all blah blah blah, the specifics. So basically, yeah, that there's various concerns for directors, writers, because like studios might use the pandemic and government shutdown to trigger force majeure clauses, allowing them to terminate overall deals. A lot of studios did this during the writer's strike in 07-08. Even fucking Marvel did this last month. So like, it's not unprecedented of companies to be shitty and take advantage of situations in the industry. And so yeah, this These are times where we gotta figure out what companies are doing, and we gotta pay attention to how companies are responding and treating their employees, because I think this will ultimately shape the world for the better. Hopefully we see how companies truly are, and then after this we got to hold them accountable. So whenever you're going to job interviews in the future, now we have a question for them. We never have a question. They say, is there anything you'd like to ask us? Well, now we can say, how did you respond to the coronavirus pandemic, and how did you help your employees out during the times in which you were shut down or not operating or whatever. Make sure that you're working for good companies that took care of their people. Speaking of taking care of their people, the New Mutants gets a new release date for August. Sure. Okay. I smell another delay. Like, at this point, I'd be mad if the movie did come out, because I still wouldn't believe that it exists. Like, we've seen it for years. We've seen these trailers. We've seen this. We've seen that. But it's so cursed that now it'd be awkward. It's like if they announced Half-Life 3. Like, they're going to, now that things are in motion, most likely. But, like, it'll be awkward. And I'm like, really? For so long we've been saying it's not going to happen. Now it's happening. It's like, it feels weird to say that. But yeah, so that's happening. I have nothing to say about that except I don't believe them. Japan cinemas beginning to partially reopen. So the way they're handling this is what's the word? Prefectures is like their equivalent to states as they are here in the United States. So basically they're talking that would reopen 10 theaters across the Japanese prefectures with the lowest reported coronavirus case loads. So it seems like 10 per prefecture is what I'm getting, and the prefectures they chose are the ones with the lowest coronavirus cases. And that's Toho Cinemas. They're the largest film exhibitor in Japan, and another chain that's nationwide there, Aeon Cinemas, said the next day that they'd do the same thing, but they'd be rebooting 27 multiplexes in 16 prefectures starting in like 4 days from now. So really fucking soon. So yeah, like this is just in response to Japan's prime minister pushing the government to lift the state of emergency in 34 of the prefectures where COVID-19 is on the decline. So things are happening. Like, I just saw on CNN, because I have the CNN app on my phone, so I'm always getting notifications, and I got a notification that said Wisconsin Senate or something, like basically the state of Wisconsin deemed that the lockdown was unconstitutional and violates our rights. So those crazy motherfuckers up there are gonna kill us all. They're gonna be going woo, drinking their cheese and eating their beer, getting each other sick, and I feel like they're gonna just slam forward with reopening everything there now that this happened. But places like Japan here, they're taking their lowest case states, or what's the fucking name, prefectures, and slowly open those up and hopefully start a chain as things are slowly getting better there. But yeah, speaking of, this is such a dumb news thing, but something quick to touch on is that Unhinged is this Russell Crowe movie that's gonna shift its release date to early July. So they're trying to beat Tenet and Mulan at their game, and this is going to be the first one to open in a post-lockdown world. I don't understand the strategy. I think their mentality is, oh, I'm going to make this movie push it to an early release date so it'll be the first and pretty much only thing people can see in theaters. People are going to be so desperate to get outside, they're going to flock to the theaters and watch this Russell Crowe thriller. Like, no, I'm sorry, sweetie, it's not who the fuck is releasing this piece of shit? Solstice Studios. Like, these motherfuckers were gonna release in September. They knew that by then nobody would give a shit. So they're just trying to bring publicity to themselves by making it the first theater opening movie. If theaters even open in early July, it's not even guaranteed. I mean, Tenet and Mulan are, like I said, the two final defenses for theater. They're the ones holding the line before the kingdom falls. And they have a little bit of leverage in terms of being in the middle of July and being massive movies that people would be willing to go out and see. But by putting this earlier and in a time period where it's very unlikely theaters will even be open, because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about this. I didn't see it reported anywhere, but I got emails from the AMC CEO a while ago, 2 different ones, and in one of them, he explained how he would go about reopening all the theaters. And basically the idea is once it's deemed safe everywhere, they'll start opening, but then it'd take like 2 or 3 weeks to train employees to get readjusted. So if we follow this mentality, then the earliest that theaters could open is in a month from now. That's not fucking happening. Like, theaters won't be ready. This Solstice Studios, they're fucking idiots. It's not happening. They did this for attention, and it's not going to pay off. Nobody's going to remember this movie. It seems so insignificant, forgettable, and fuck this movie, and fuck these people for trying to get a cheap marketing tactic going on that's not even going to pay off. They just look like idiots that don't know anything. And final... Oh, my piece. Okay, there we go. And final bit of news, speaking of, Universal Studios Orlando is going to partially reopen Thursday, and this comes after Walt Disney announcing that's going to reopen its Disney Springs Shopping and Dining Complex on May 20th. So NBC announced that Universal Studios is going to partially reopen later this week. And the City Walk portion is going to be what reopens, with select venues operating from 4 to 10 p.m. daily. All visitors are required to wear masks and are subject to temperature checks on arrival. Oh, God, it's going to be fucking annoying when we finally get to go places. They got to check our temperatures. It's going to be fun. I'm going to love the future. I'm going to love living in The Last of Us. But yeah, then they say like Universal Studios Park and Islands of Adventure will remain closed at least through May 31st. Universal Studios Hollywood is also closed throughout that time. It's like, this is so dumb. People are so desperate to get this shit done with it. I don't know, people are dumb. We're all gonna die. Wisconsin is just the first step, then everyone else is going to see, oh, well, they're doing well too. What are we going to do? We got to open. Like, no, Alabama, you stay the fuck inside, you fucking weirdo fucks. And you too, Florida, you're not off the hook. And I think that about does it for the news for today. So now we can finally get into the discussion of today's film, which is Unplanned. Now, this is the 2019 Christian pro-life epic that will change your life and will hopefully change your heart. I couldn't even say that seriously. Fuck this movie. I'm going to say that right off the bat. It's not as bad as I thought it'd be, but when it becomes bad, oh, it's bad. It is constantly bad throughout, but about like the halfway point, it becomes expectedly bad, which is very bad. And I'm going to get this off the bat. I am very much pro-choice. I believe women should have the right to be able to do what they want with their bodies, and no large group of old white men in government should be making these decisions on behalf of women. And no religious zealot, how the fuck do you say that word? Oh well. They should not be for like pushing people to make these decisions, because we'll get into it with the movie. For this one, I don't want to deeply analyze it, but I want to basically talk through certain plot points and just reflect on them. This is going to be a different way of talking about the movie on this podcast. So right off the bat, it is, just as a film, the writing is so bad, so hammy. The acting is pretty bad. It's not awful, it's pretty bad. But there are certain people that are meant to be the villains of the story, and they're hammed up. They play it as if they hate Planned Parenthood, especially the main Planned Parenthood supervisor lady, who's like Anna, who's the main character's boss. Is it Anna? I've seen this movie twice in the past like 48 hours, and I can't remember shit anymore, but luckily I wrote down some plot points. So yeah, just as a film, it's made poorly. Also structurally, it's a complete mess. Like, for example, the movie starts out with the inciting incident, the moment that changes her and makes her pro-life. As soon as that scene happens, it cuts back to a flashback like 7 years earlier. And then shortly after, it cuts back to flashback 3 years earlier or something. And then it somehow just kind of drifts back into the 7 years ago timeline. And then it jumps to 3 years later at some point. And then it just kind of finally catches up to the beginning part. And then it remains chronological after that. It's so many fucking flashbacks. It's so unnecessary. I hate this movie. I hate the writing. I hate everything about it. Fuck this movie. And it's a disaster. So let's get into talking about plot point by plot point. So the film starts out with a scene where it's the stereotypical, the daughter wakes mommy and daddy up. Oh, I love waking up to my kids every morning. And they're really hamming up the idea of, oh, aren't kids great? Don't you want to look at this precious little girl? Her name's Grace. Don't you want to see her prosper in life? She's so adorable. Wouldn't it be a shame if she were aborted, murdered? And if it wasn't hammy enough with just that, then after breakfast, during breakfast, she's talking about, oh, when I come home, we're going to get pizza and have a little sleepover, some shit. Like, oh, they really love each other. She's such a good mom, and she's the best daughter you could ask for. And then, if that wasn't hammy enough, hold on, I don't want to bend the wire. If that wasn't hammy enough, then as she's leaving for work, the little girl, Grace, she comes out with a baby doll in her hand. And she's like, please don't go, mommy. It's a recurring motif in the film. There's babies and children anywhere that it makes sense to put them in. It's fucking boom. Just it's so brain dead. Fuck this movie. Oh, why is my PlayStation 4 controller on? How do I turn this off? It is on because I was using it earlier playing Modern Warfare, but what fucking sucks is you can't play Modern Warfare on PC wirelessly unless you have oh, I think I did it. That was weird. Unless you download that one program that basically turns it to Xbox controller. It's like DS DS4 Windows. Oh wow, I just opened up the OBS. I'm ugly as fuck. God damn. God damn. Who the fuck let me look like this? Anyways, so yeah, that's the opening scene, and then she's about to start the car, and she puts in her Christian music CD, her favorite Christian music album, on her drive to work, because she loves God and breathes him in every second. Oh, and just on the record, I am not a fan of religion at all whatsoever, and I try to be the kind of person who respects and understands people's beliefs, but in such a hateful and systematically oppressive system, it's like, it'd be the same as saying not all cops are bastards. Like, yes, they are, sweetie. If your daddy's a cop, fuck your daddy. He's awful and partaking in a terrible system. And religion's very close to that. I know people are religious due to just trying to be good people. They need something to believe in, something to follow. I understand that. So with religion, you can't make the argument that not all overly religious people are bastards, but if they are religious, it is very safe to assume that they are a complete bastard. They're guilty until proven innocent, essentially. Just to get that off the record, I'm an asshole, yes, but just so we're clear in how I'm approaching it. No, so you're not surprised as I'm going through this. Yeah, so then when she gets to work, that's the fateful day where she sees an abortion. Now, throughout the movie, you see her get 2 abortions of her own prior to this, and she's seen multiple abortions take place, and she's been into that room where they have to take the little pieces of the fetus and put it together so that they can make sure all the pieces of the fetus are there and there's nothing left in the body of the woman they just aborted. So it wasn't her first rodeo, but for some reason, in this day in particular, she was asked to assist with an abortion, and I don't even know exactly the fuck she did, but I guess they needed her. They needed assistance. She was there. And so the doctor, it's played out like a horror movie. It's intense. So it starts out with, they do a, what the fuck is it called? When they check for like they rub the gel on the belly and put that thing on the belly to see the, oh my god, I'm not blacking out, I'm blanking out. What's it called? What the fuck is it called? You know where you see on the screen the baby in black and white in the stomach? Fuck me, I can't believe this is happening. But yeah, so she's doing that thing, and then what they apparently say throughout the movie, they make a point to emphasize this, is that they don't allow the patient to see this image of the fetus in the belly. And so our hero of the story, Abby, is looking, and she just sees a beautiful little baby, 13 weeks old, with its head, its cute little fingers, cute little toes. Oh, it'd be a real shame if somebody slurped them up like Jamba Juice. Oh, and also, I am very much pro-abortion. I've made that clear. I'm pro-choice, but I also specifically believe abortions are a right that every woman should have, and so I will be making jokes in light of it. I'm sorry in advance, I guess. So she sees that, and that's when we're like, oh my god, that baby, there's a baby. It's not a fetus, that's a whole baby. And I promise you that is not what feti, I guess maybe it might be how they look in 13 weeks. So that's 3 months and a week. So maybe, but it just seemed like they were really hamming up that this is look at this, may as well be a foreign baby. It's just a little small. And then they're with that thingy, they're seeing the heartbeat, and you're hearing the heartbeat of the baby. And it's like, it's supposed to be intense. Like, oh. And then the baby's animated, so it's like freaking out and trying to get out back inside the stomach. And they do not know. That's not how it works. They do not freak out. I don't even know how the baby would know what's going on outside. It's pitch black in that bitch. Where that baby was freaking out. I was like, I gotta get out of here. And then it's getting so intense that baby's trying to escape. And then it just cuts to black. And then it cuts to the doctor who's going to do the abortion being like, beam me up, Scotty. And then he turns on the power to get the vacuum sucker 3000 going. And then she's looking at horror as this baby's being sucked. Looking like a fucking, the fucking ectoplasm shit or whatever from fucking Ghostbusters, the ghost catcher. It was just, and you're just like, oh, is the baby gonna go? Oh, you gotta fight, little baby. And then eventually just gets sucked into the thing. And it becomes fucking strawberry Jamba Juice smoothie. It made me so thirsty for a strawberry smoothie. And I don't know what the fuck that says about me. It was so fucking funny, dude. Like, this movie's... Every time it portrays abortion in the movie, it shoots it like a horror movie or something super awful and intense. But like, it was funny as fuck. I want Jamba Juice to watch this 1.5 star out of 5 movie. Fuck me. And so after witnessing this horrible event, she runs to the bathroom and cries. And then, before we even get to the opening credits, the movie just starts with, this is my story. It's gonna be a little gross. It might make you uncomfortable. Like, in the beginning, it really pushes the idea, this movie's gonna gross you out. This is why this Christian movie is rated R. It's the real deal, baby. We're gonna show that little fetus, that unalive fetus, turn into fucking Jamba Juice, and we're gonna make you squirm and go ee as much as we can to try to make you pro-life. And so yeah, then after that it cuts back to 7 years and we see her origin story where she's a University of Texas student and it's recruitment week and a Planned Parenthood person is trying to recruit her and she's like, I don't know how I feel about abortion. My parents are pro-life, so I guess that makes me pro-life too. Like, the way she delivered that line seems like even she didn't believe that. Like, it's so fucking stupid to say out loud, my parents don't believe it, so I guess I don't believe it either. Like, no. What Republicans do is they hold these beliefs, but the underlying reason is because their piece of shit parents hold them. But they never outright say that. So you're just making your hero of the story a Republican and a dumbass. They never outright say she's a Republican, but good God, being pro-life and an idiot. 1 + 1 = 2. Whoa, why did my audio peak there? My bad. Whoa, hold on, the gram's going off. Okay. Anyways. So yeah. After that, she, I guess after she's convinced to go into Planned Parenthood, and it turns out that's when we cut to the flashback that she had 2 abortions from the same guy. It's crazy. You think you would have learned at the first, and to this point, she's in against it. You know, because obviously she goes through with it. She can't take care of the child. She knows that. So she does the responsible thing and yeetus the fetus. And yeah, if you're not capable of financially taking care of this child, then yeah, that's a responsible thing to do. Yeet the fucking fetus. But she does it twice. And you'd think in that time that she was in Planned Parenthood, she'd be like, hey, you guys got birth control or condoms here? Didn't even cross her Republican-ass mind. God. I hate everyone in this movie. They're the worst. I hate Republicans. I hate these zealots. I fucking hate everything about this movie. And then it cuts to her first day at work there, and the first thing she has to do is she drives in and she just sees a bunch of hecklers outside, people protesting, holding up pictures of aborted fetuses and holding signs of like, oh, against abortion. There's but then our heroes of the film is this woman who looks like Elizabeth Banks got punched in the fucking center of her face. I hate that bitch. And there's this other guy who looks like every Republican in your film class. It's just like, well, actually, I think all lives matter looking ass motherfucker. I don't like to be like these snowflakes where they just like extremes. I like to see both sides and understand both sides. Like, shut up, centrist. Shut the fuck up, centrist. God, this is the most political I'm ever gonna get. This movie brings out the real me. And so they're all out there, and her job is now to, whenever people come in and are being heckled by these pieces of shit, that's the thing, the movie portrays them as pieces of shit, but the characters I'm mentioning, punched in Elizabeth Banks and stereotypical film school Republican, they are portrayed as, oh, they care, they're gracious, they're never loud heckling, they're just standing there holding the fence, always just standing there, just, hey, hi, if you could just take a moment, please hear me out, think about what you're doing, because like, see, they're nice hecklers, this is a nice thing, they're doing the right thing, pushing people to reconsider their decision to get the abortion, even though they have no pretext of why they're getting in the first place. Maybe they can't have the baby, or else it'll literally kill them due to whatever the condition may be. It might be because they cannot afford to take care of it, or like in a lot of cases in this movie, they're teenagers, they're not cut out to be parents yet. But no, punched in the face Elizabeth Banks, and now I think of how beautiful the baby is gonna be. Oh, there's gonna be a beautiful family. And then the girl cries, and then they just get in the car and drive off, and shit like that. And so Abby, our hero of the story's job, is to escort the ladies while they're being heckled, escort them into the Planned Parenthood building safely from these fucking religious freaks, these goddamn pieces of shit. And that's why I find it so interesting that the movie, the only two people, the pro-lifers they portray as normal and sensible, are those two fucking wackos. They're still wackos, but they just don't show it or act like it. But they're still wackos in what they're doing. They're standing outside all day, every day of a Planned Parenthood clinic trying to convince people not to have abortions. You fucking losers, get a real job. Go get a job at an abortion clinic. Maybe get some bread if you're going to be so weird. And so then we just see all these people yelling things like, oh, you're gonna, like, go away, basic, say really weird insults. And oh god, I'm getting tired. And our hero of the story, Abby, she's actually spitting facts like, oh, look at these people trying to control what women do with their bodies. It's like, yes, Abby, you are righteous. This is very much the exact point. And that's what's so weird. That's why I can't say the movie is as bad as everyone says. Like, it makes really legitimate points, but those points are seen as being wrong. It tries to be fair, but all it really does is show how logical and reasonable pro-choice is, and how stupid and holding no grounds except, oh, think about the children, pro-lifers have. I'll get to it later. I'll get to the heated debate later. So, yeah, then we're introduced to the Planned Parenthood people, and they're all heroes because they're in the right. They're helping women be safe and helping take care of them. And I forgot. I think this might have happened before up to this point. So when Abby has her second abortion, it's early enough in the cycle of the pregnancy that she's able to take a pill and have it just bleed out of her, essentially. So she takes it, and they tell her, oh, it's just going to be like, at very worst, it's going to be like a heavy period flow, It's not going to be too bad. And so she's home. And of course, it's shot like a horror movie, high shutter speed, all choppy and shit, Oh, God. Oh, I'm in pain. And then she's bleeding everywhere. She gets in the bathtub and chunks of fetus come out. And she picks it up and throws it in the toilet. She's just bleeding everywhere. Falls asleep on the bathroom floor. Showing like, oh God, abortion's so evil. It puts these ladies in so much pain. Because that's a thing this film does. So, as I was trying to say, that it portrays each side fairly, where it really pushes in on the pro-choice arguments very well, might I say. It's logical. It's no shit. It's hard to get that wrong. Even this fucking piece of shit propaganda shit couldn't get it wrong. And so what they do is they'll talk about the benefits of pro-choice, but then immediately after show you a horror version of some form of abortion. In this case, it was her taking the pill and the aftermath of that, and how it's so awful and violent. So in your mind, it's psychologically telling you to forget the reasonable arguments. Look at what's happening. Do you want this to happen to other girls? No. So save a life, go pro-life. And I guess I don't give a shit. I'm going to skip to the next instance of this. So this teenage girl comes in with her dad, and the dad says, Abby, I need you to help me take care of this. It's like, do we know this guy? What's their relationship? Was there a scene cut out where we know their connection? It's just, I don't know, I guess maybe she's a hometown hero. Everyone knows her. I don't know, because she goes to church. I don't know if it's a church member. The movie doesn't bother with that. It's bloated as it is. And so this teenage girl is getting the abortion because she's a teenager, can't have a child. Fair enough, that's all we need. And while she's waiting, so they portray this like waiting area for the people getting abortions, all in their hospital little outfits, their scrubs, whatever you call them. They're just sitting there, and as she says in the movie, some are holding their stomachs. They're all just looking miserable, like they hate themselves for getting this abortion. Like, that's another reason I can't consider this a bad film. It is, but not as bad as people say it is, because they know the cinematic language, the filmmakers that made this. They know exactly what they're doing, and that's what makes it so much more evil and vile, that they're trying to portray abortion as this horrific horror movie type of thing. So then she starts bleeding, and our hero Abby sees and freaks out. She calls for another nurse. No, and she's like, what's wrong? No, sweetie, everything's okay, everything's fine. Oh, so they gotta take her to the room and suck some shit out of her, and apparently she nearly dies. And then the dad's outside like, what's going on? They said it was going to be 5 minutes. It's been 2 hours. Where's my daughter? So he's freaking out to match the intensity of the scene, even though realistically just be like, hey, I was just checking in, seeing if everything's all right. I doubt you'd be freaking out like that. And when she comes out, the music plays like, it's like, it's the same tone that in the end of the movie, at the very end of a movie, where it turns out somebody survives a massive battle, or like the hero goes to set off a bomb, because the detonator didn't work. And so you're assumed to believe he's dead, but then you see him come, and you're just like, oh, I'm so relieved you're alive. They treat it like that. They treat it like she just survived a war. The war of abortion. The war against her pussy, if you will. Jesus Christ. And just the whole thing, every single time an abortion is portrayed, it's hammed up to hell. It's so fucking stupid. I hate this movie. And then he's like, thank you, Abby. Like, oh yeah. And I'm like, yes, this is a great thing you've done. You helped out this girl. And even though there's complications, you helped save her life. And then the lady who like is that, she holds a higher position. So even though Abby eventually becomes like the head of that specific clinic, this lady oversees like maybe multiple, I guess. Maybe the ones in the region. Something like that. She's like Abby's superior. Her name starts with the C. I don't remember it. But she's always spitting facts. But the way she delivers lines, she makes her like, and the things she says and the way she says them makes her seem like she's the villain. Like she's saying these things, but that's a little evil. Like at the halfway point of the movie, Abby becomes employee of the year or something, and she's like, okay, and now we're gonna be opening this large facility that can do abortions 24/7, some shit like that. And because of that, our goal is to double our abortion quota. And this is when the movie starts to lose me. I'm like, are you shitting me? You're telling me Planned Parenthood has an abortion quota? That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. And then, our hero Abby, of course, she's like, I thought we did more than abortions. I didn't sign up for this. Did it just disconnect? Please tell me my audio's been recording this whole time. Dear God, holy shit, please tell me my audio is recording. I saw the levels moving earlier. Anyway, so the long, strange history of Bill Gates' population control conspiracy. Because he donates to Planned Parenthood, people think that's his attempt to control the population. Anyways, so Planned Parenthood is an American organization. Incorporated organization, okay. Clinics operated by Planned Parenthood provide a range of reproductive health care services, including abortion, sex education, prenatal care, infertility services, and treatment for STDs, as well as vaccinations and cancer screenings for millions of mostly low-income and rural patients. So, yeah, I don't see anything about them being a corporation. But yeah, the movie really pushes this idea. They never talk about or portray the other services that Planned Parenthood provides. They only stick to abortions because this is a pro-life movie. So, of course, that makes sense for their agenda. And, yeah, so in that halfway point, Planned Parenthood people start hamming it up like they're villains. And, our Abby's questioning what she's doing now. And then her family is super pro-life and her husband's pro-life, and they just shit on her for working at Planned Parenthood. They're so vile. I hate these people. They treat Abby the way I'd treat someone if I found out they're Republican or pro-life. So, fair enough, I guess. They're on the wrong side, but I understand why they behave the way they do. And then, what other? Yeah, no, I talked about that. Oh, just a random tidbit is the car she drives is pretty nice, and it just made me wonder how much money do these baby killers be making? What kind of bread they raking in? I'm trying to get in on that shit. And there's this really so I was talking about how the filmmakers know what they're doing, like everything, the way they shoot scenes is intentional, and everything they do is intentional to push a point. Well, she's having dinner with her husband one night at a Mexican restaurant. Not a single sight of Mexicans. Just saying. And they're talking about having a film festival at their house. And he's like, heads, Gone with the Wind, or tails, Die Hard, or some shit like that. I can't remember the exact movie, but like something super manly, so that's the movie he wants. And she loves Gone with the Wind. Now, for those of you, my little cinephiles watching or listening to this, that don't know, Gone with the Wind is a movie about plantation people during the Civil War in the South. And our Abby, our little pro-lifer Republican, loves that movie. And to put it's not even she just likes the movie, you snowflake. No. To push it further, there's a scene where they go trick-or-treating as a family for Halloween. The father dresses up as a pirate. Very normal, very dad thing. The daughter dresses up as what the fuck ever, some ugly child, I guess. That's fine. When you got Republican parents, you're probably going to be ugly. I'm sorry. And what does our Abby dress as? Why, of course, a Southern belle. I guess she dressed as if she were straight out of Gone with the Wind. She doesn't love the movie. She loves the culture of Southern belles during slavery. Our little Abby is pro-life, super definitely Republican, and she loves races. I just love how the movie doesn't even try to hide or cover up the fact that she is a vile piece of shit human being who has the wrong take on just about every aspect of the world. Like, this movie, that's what I'm saying, in its attempts to try to portray both sides fairly, all it does is further emphasize how righteous the right one is and how horribly wrong the movie side that it actually takes is. It's baffling. I don't know how, while making this movie, they didn't see, wait, are we in the wrong? But no, we can't question that because God says it's bad. But not once in the Bible does it mention anything about abortions and being against them. Now, the gays, Those are sins because the Bible said. You can't argue with that. It's in the Bible, so I mean, me, this liberal cuck snowflake libtard, of course I have no argument against that. Gays are inherently evil. Those beady devil eyes every time they look at someone of the same sex or non-binary. Oh, the mind troubles. Like, who gives a shit? Let my little they thems homies and homettes do their thing, man. Like, who gives a shit? Fuck what God said. Fuck that dude. And so even though they're completely wrong, you can still see how they have their trump card, their defense against their defense of their anti-gay beliefs. But abortion, they don't got nothing. They don't got nothing. I don't think they had hangers back then. Ooh, here I come. Jesus fuck it. See, that's a mean joke, because it's joking about how, like, you know, some people don't actually have proper access to health care and safe abortions, and so they have to resort to terrible measures. But hey, that's a further point of the importance of Planned Parenthood and all these abortion clinics. It is a God-given right and a necessity, and I rest my case. But yeah, this movie's just fucking vile, and the side it chooses, even though it shows how right the right side is, they still stick with the losing side. They're idiots. And so after that halfway point where everything goes to hell, Planned Parenthood becomes the empire. Then they it finally catches up to the present, I guess. In the very beginning, the scene that changed her, made her pro-life, finally gets to that point. And what we find out is, at the same time that was happening to her, outside, Elizabeth Banks punched in the face, and typical film school Republican are standing outside, and they see a dude loading these like barrels into a truck, and you just assume it's like the fetus waste or whatever. And so they ask, can you bring that over here so we can pray for it, on it, something like that? And so the guy is just like, yeah, well, there's gonna be more, so be quick. And so he rolls it over, and it's cutting in between her, ooh, the abortion, and him using his Jedi powers. He just hovers his hand over the thing and just closes his eyes as if he's channeling the Jedi. All the 1,000 generations of the Christ Jedi live within your palms. Ascend, dead children, ascend. God forgive those who only He knows the names of, because they weren't even alive for them to be named. And so yeah, after that, she ends up, because they run this organization, it's like 40 days for life, something like that. So they're like, oh, for 40 days we're gonna protest outside. And but the thing is, they've been protesting outside for like 10 years, so I think it's a little bit longer than 40 days, something like of that nature though. So she goes to their office and says, I want out. I'm like, oh my God, really? Well, don't tell anyone yet, you know, we can help you get a job. We'll take care of you, because they're such nice Christian folk. They will elevate and help one another the way Jesus Christ himself helped out all those Samaritans and all the Jews, and helping, well, we can't say help the Jews because we hate the Jews, but he helped people. Let's just leave it at that. Now, if you turn your Bibles to the next page, Gospel of Matthew 3:43, Corinthians, the Lord hath said, abortions are bad, and those who deviate from the path of evilness can be forgiven as God has forgiven all of our sins. And we will put you on the path to righteousness. The movie just becomes batshit insane, where Planned Parenthood is hamming it up even more. They fucking hate Abby. They try suing her and Elizabeth Banks and the Republican. And so then the movie becomes a court drama, but not really, because like, oh, I know a lawyer who can help us. So they talk to him, that rat-faced piece of shit lawyer. He helps him out. Next scene, they're outside the courthouse, and of course Planned Parenthood lady hams it up and says, blah, 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 blah. I know I recognize that lawyer from the billboards. And whatever, trying to make it feel threatened. They're raising the stakes. They roll out a bunch of wheelbarrows, whatever the fuck, rollers of boxes, and they're like, she's like, what's that? And then the lawyer's like, oh, that's just their methods of intimidating us. She's like, well, it's working. It's like, oh, this is a big multi-billion-dollar corporation. These guys can't win. They're the underdogs of the story. How is pro-life going to win? The sweet poor life going to win above the evil corporate, the baby-killing business. The evil baby-killing business. God, I fucking hate these people. And so, they don't even show the court scene. They show one shot of the courtroom, but then she just narrates over, oh, if this were a movie, blah, 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 blah. I hate when movies do that. When they say, if this were a movie, like in dialogue, you can get away with that. But when you're narrating, that is a strictly film element. Like, who the fuck? It doesn't cut to her as if she's retelling the story in the future. No, she's telling the story to us, the audience of this film. So you can't say, if this were a movie, you fucking dipshit. It is a movie, you goddamn idiot pro-life Republican piece of shit. And you see the mom coming out of the courtroom crying. And you're like, oh, they lost. But then she looks like she's so sad and heartbroken. But then she changed her face to look relieved. And you learn, oh, they won. So why would you act like you were sad? And then immediately change your face to happy crying. It's so fucking stupid. So they win the lawsuit. Now, this whole ending is supposed to be the film's trump card, saying, oh, the pro-lifers won against the big evil pro-choicers. So this means we're in the side of righteousness and we got to keep up this fight. And I don't understand. I guess the lawsuit was they were suing Abby and the organization that she's now part of for disclosing procedure info on how they do abortions to people. But I don't think she did it on the wide scale, or at least the movie doesn't show it. The movie just shows, like, I'll get to this. They show her, like, talking someone out of it. But I don't think that's grounds for suability. So nothing really makes sense. In the end, nobody's really in the right. Planned Parenthood kind of wasting their time doing with this lawsuit. And it doesn't prove anything. Like, it just shows that Planned Parenthood was just trying to sue. But it doesn't mean that what they're doing is evil. Maybe that one thing was misguided, the whole lawsuit. But they're still doing a noble cause, helping women out with their reproductive safety and shit like that. I don't know what the movie was getting at. But yeah, this reminds me, I forgot to mention. So as soon as she meets up with the people, now that she's become pro-life all of a sudden, She calls her parents. They're so happy. Her husband's so proud of her. She's up at night crying, asking God for forgiveness. Can God forgive her for killing all those thousands of babies? The babies. Think of the children. Think of the children. That's all they say. Oh, think of the children. Think of the beautiful baby. There's this one part where there's this girl going. It's the only people of color in the entire movie, might add. So it's this black girl getting out of a car, and it's her mom, her sister, and her grandma on the other side of the fence. She's like, please don't go, baby, please. And what's so funny is that the abortion lady brings her daughter to the abortion. That poetic cinema, baby. That's fucking fucked up and hilarious. Like, that's as good as dark humor gets. And so the mom saying, oh, look at your beautiful baby girl. Oh, your child could be just like her. Oh, God, help me, help me. And the little girl's like, why are you crying, Grandma? Shut the fuck up, little bitch, before I abort you too with these fists. God, I hate kids. Maybe that's why I'm so pro-choice. Get rid of those fuckers. Jesus Christ. I'm fucking going savage in this podcast. This is a disaster. It's just Grandpa Libtard going on his political tirades. And, so yeah, that's an early scene. But what leads to the lawsuit, and I forgot to mention, is that Abby becomes one of those fence people, pieces of shit. She's like, hey, I'm sorry, hi, could you just listen to me for... It's like a clearly teenage girl, very scared, going into an abortion. You know, nobody wants to get an abortion. Abby even says this earlier in the movie. Nobody wants to get an abortion. So I don't understand why pro-lifers villainize it so much. It's not something we do because we enjoy. We do the abortions because they're necessary. It's for the safety of women. It's their decision, even if it doesn't even regard their health or safety. It's their decision. It's their body. They can do what they want. And so she's talking, this girl, obviously, I know you feel scared. I know. You feel like you're helpless and there's nothing you can do, but I'll help you. I'll be there every step of the way. Before that, she's telling you, like, you know what's gonna happen there? They're gonna do the C-scan. Is that what it is? C-scan? Maybe. And they're not gonna show you the monitor. They're not gonna show you. And she's like, why? Because they don't want you to know what your baby looks like. And she's like, why are you telling me this? It's like no teenager would say that. Nobody would be like, whoa, you're scaring me, man. I can't see my baby. Like, you want to kill that shit. That's why you're going in there. Fuck that baby. You don't give a fuck what he looks like. He could look like fucking Ryan Seacrest or fucking Pee Wee Herman. I don't give a shit what that motherfucker look like. I'm booting that motherfucker. And so she talks her out of it. She, I'll help you every step of the way. But then she's just crying and then leaves and goes in her car and fucks off. And that's my problem. This is really the root, the fallacy of the pro-life argument. They say, oh, these children deserve to live. They're beautiful Christian soldiers. We could recruit them as Christian soldiers. We need them. We'll help every step of the way. No, you won't. How do you explain those millions of children in foster care around the world? Those people in abusive households who are being constantly neglected in some way or another. You don't give a shit about those children. The children of color especially, fucking forget it. These Republican Christian pieces of shit do not care about people of color, let alone children of color. So they'll tell you, abortion's bad. Oh, so you'll help me take care of this kid I can't afford to take care of? Well, fuck no. We hate you, you fucking wetback. Get the fuck away from me before I call ICE. But you better not get that abortion. So they want to control the pregnancy. but they don't want to control what happens to the child after birth. They don't want to be like, hey, if you can't take care of it, you should probably give it up for adoption. Or, hey, we'll financially help you out. Here are some resources we're providing for mothers who didn't carry out abortions. Anything like that. No, they don't care. So I truly don't know the point of the pro-life argument. I don't get it. They just say, oh, it could be a beautiful baby. That's it. What if it's ugly? What if it's Hitler? I don't want to fucking get talked out of an abortion just to raise Hitler to the Fourth Reich. I'm not doing that. Like, they have no argument. Throughout the whole movie, they make logical arguments. They say, look, blah, 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 health reasons, age reasons, this, that, and it's the women's right. It's their body, it's their choice. Why are people trying to control it? And those are logical arguments that normal people have. But this movie is a pro-life movie, and their only argument is God, Jesus. It's a beautiful baby. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be terrific. Like, it just infuriates me. What is the point? Like, I'd love to just one day sit down and talk to a piece of shit pro-lifer and figure out, why are you so against abortion? How do you justify, like, in Ohio, for example, I believe they banned abortions. There's this 12-year-old girl who I believe was raped, and she had to get an abortion or else she'd die. But the state wouldn't let her, and she ended up dying. So how the fuck can you justify that? As if you're a Christian, you're supposed to be loving and caring of one another, take care of people. How do you rationalize that? How do you rationalize a little girl dying just because of beliefs that don't even make sense? They don't, as I said, there's nothing in the Bible that says anything against abortion. So it's not even of religious belief. Like, why the fuck are you so adamant on controlling women's bodies? It fucking infuriates me. I don't get it. This movie pisses me off to no end. It makes no argument, has no right to exist. It is vile, it is awful, it is harmful. It is harmful because since it's a Christian movie, it's not a movie meant to sway you if you're in the middle or if you're pro-choice. Its goal isn't to sway you to pro-life. All it is for Christian audiences to reaffirm their pro-life stance. It doesn't care about changing minds. It just cares about preaching to the choir. It fucking garbage, vile, awful piece of shit. I'm getting mad. I don't even want to talk about it anymore. I fucking hate this movie. Like, even though I said it's not as bad as everyone says it is, it's still like deeply vile in its beliefs. Like, fuck you if you're pro-life, you piece of shit. You don't have the right to decide what people do with their bodies. Like, if abortions for some reason like led to the fetus coming out and starting mass shootings at large public places, then hey, maybe you'd have an argument. I don't know if the risk reward's worth it. If the girl dies from not being able to get an abortion, at least we saved quite a few lives by avoiding a shooting. Maybe even then, take that to even have the slightest bit of leverage in your viewpoints. Oh, they're just opinions. I'm a centrist. I don't know. I like to see everybody's point of view on things. I want to understand people. I just want to be compassionate. I want to be the best person. The biggest piece of shit Republican I know. He considers himself centrist, but he's the biggest piece of shit. You know what? Yeah, I'm going to talk about him. I'm not going to say names, just in case he ever watches this, but this motherfucker is the most vile person I've ever met. He's a comedy writer, but he's not funny, and all he does is make jokes at the expense of women. He's extremely sexist, and he's like the most stereotypical Republican kid. He always wears the swimming varsity jacket, has a clean cut hair, the blue eyes, the perfect. He's not blonde. He's orange haired, but almost the perfect Aryan boy. This piece of shit. Oh my god, this movie just reminds me. I'll never forget when people were giving him shit for just being a piece of shit, because let's just say we were on a trip and he was constantly getting on everybody's nerves, even the professors who went with us. They were starting to go against him. And he's so vile, and he's just talking about like, I don't associate with any of that politics bullshit. I just try to see points of view and understand people. And I'm like, no, you're the most hateful, spiteful person I know. People who don't choose a side when it comes to just basic human right things, they're pieces of shit. Simple as that. And it just so happens to be the liberal mindset is more humanistic. They believe in pro-choice. They believe I don't want to make this into a more grander thing, but like this is the main thing, of course, because that's what the movie's about, abortion. So, they hold these beliefs that are empowering to the people. Republicans have more beliefs that fall in line with trying to control the people, control their decisions. Now you can make the argument, well, aren't you libtards the ones who want to take away our guns? Well, yeah, you fucking dipshit. You don't need an assault rifle. But it's for self-defense. Buy a fucking crossbow. Buy a revolver. Slow shooting things that can't do mass shootings. And still take care of your piece of shit, ugly family. It's simple as that, baby. Like, so it's just, they're always just so wrong on everything, man. It's insane. If you're a Republican listening and watching this, just know I fucking hate you. I actually hate you. You make my day worse by existing. In fact, you're a menace to society. You make a lot of people's day worse by existing. So please just shut up. Shut up. Let the big boys and girls and non-binaries do the talking. Like this fucking piece of shit, the dude I was talking about, he's in one of my classes, and he's pitching this quite terrible comedy. It's a teen sex comedy, and he's talking about trying to characterize some side characters. Like, oh, I don't want to mischaracterize these girls in a overly sensitive society. Like, he's the Todd Phillips kind of motherfucker. Oh, people are too PC. Comedy's dead. I can't say anything without offending women or anyone. Like, it's miraculous that there's so many people out there who can live their whole lives without offending large groups of people. It's called being a decent person. Nobody's telling you have to be a piece of shit. Like, for example, the whole Todd Phillips idea of, oh, comedy can't thrive in this PC culture. Like, one of the funniest shit I've ever seen is a picture of a frog, so awkwardly looking like he's about to walk up to a bowl of soup, and it just says, soup time. That is goddamn funny as fuck. Who's it offending? Soup? Frogs? Nah, everyone loves soup. It's always soup time, baby. Even frogs enjoy it. Like, that's funny as fuck. You have to be actually funny to be funny. Now, these Republican pieces of shit, like this boy I'm talking about, he thinks just going for easy, cheap shots, offensive humor is the only way to be funny. Aha! I'm a girl. I'm so basic. I like boys. I like shopping. Like, oh, you're so funny. This 1980s theory of comedy is really holding up in 2020, buddy. Like, I don't know. I've really gone off the deep end now. I'm just going to stop. So, thank you so much for watching old libtard grandpa's tirades again. And, I hope you enjoy this episode. If you've seen Unplanned, let me know what you think of it. I'd love to have a discussion. And if you're a pro-lifer here, I hate you, but I would love to see you try to justify. I want to hear you out. Not because I want to understand, hear both sides. I just want to see you try. I just want to see you try to justify it. It's so cute. It's so funny. You guys are like little monkeys trying to figure out how to build a rock. You're like, oh, you're trying to form a rational thought? Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. You can't. Not with those beliefs of those in that head of yours. Anyways, yeah. This is just getting hateful, honestly. This is, even me is like, damn. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys on the next episode where it'll be more about movies than going into Grandpa's political tirades. Good night, y'all.